Hey yo, what's up, guys? So it's been a crazy week with the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, but prior to that story, the murder of Iryna Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee who fled her country to escape the Russian invasion, was actually dominating the headlines all week. Now, she tragically lost her life after taking a Charlotte train, and a black man sitting behind her decides to get up and stab her 3 times in the neck. And all this happened while there were 4 or 5 other people sitting behind her, and they did nothing. And this young, beautiful lady who had her future in front of her lost her life in the most gruesome way. Now, the only fault I give this young lady is her lack of situational awareness because she actually chose to sit in that seat when there were plenty of other empty seats available. Now, it's kind of hard to fault her in any way because growing up in Ukraine, she probably hasn't been exposed to certain cultures like you and I have. But for me, if I actually got into that train and I saw my surroundings and saw that there were no seats available, I probably would have walked to the other side of the train and just put my back against the wall. And I don't even give two shits how that looks or what people are going to label me. I'm just trying to stay alive. Okay, so now let's listen to what Nick Fuentes had to say about the murder of Iryna Zarutska.
How could it have been avoided if she was raped? We were led to believe that any level of prejudice, any level of pattern recognition is the highest evil. Not just evil, but the highest evil. Oh, you're racist? I can't even be in the same room with you. Oh, you did a double take? You're looking over your shoulder because a black man is behind you? That is systemic racism, a microaggression. That is internalized racism. How dare you think that? How dare you react that way? I don't even want to know you. I don't want to be your friend. It's worse apparently now than being a murderer, barely than being a racist,
he does
a
have a point. Kind of feels that way these days.
And yet, if she were a little bit more racist, she'd be alive. If she were a little bit more racist, her parents would have their daughter. If she saw that guy and turned and walked the other way, she'd be alive.
What did I say earlier? That I would also walk to the other side of the train? No difference. Look, I understand what Nick is trying to convey, but I wouldn't use the word racist, but probably prejudicial. Because as humans, we're all prejudiced. When we decide what kind of clothes we're going to wear for the day, we prejudge. When we decide what food we're going to eat, we prejudge. Being prejudicial is innate in human nature. Let me give you another example. Let's pick another black man. Stephen A. Smith. Most of you probably know. He's into politics these days. Always well-dressed. If you saw or I saw him on a train, no one would feel a certain way. But the moment you see a guy like the one who murdered Iryna Zarutska, DeCarlos Brown Jr., no one would want to be around his vicinity. He just fits a certain stereotype. That's what I mean, how we are all prejudicial. Let me give you another example of what else is prejudicial, discriminatory, but no one says a word about it. Insurance companies. When I was 16, I was trying to get my insurance for my automobile for the first time, 16 or 18, I can't remember when. But I was going in as a secondary driver, occasional driver, not even a primary driver. And you know what I got quoted? Like $2,000. I was like, what? Why? My sister, a few years before me, she got hers for like 500, same age. And they told me it's because young men like me, late teens, always get into more accidents and always speed more than women. That's why our insurance costs more. So insurance companies use data, numbers, statistics, because they have actuaries who calculate everything. And that's why they charge higher premiums for younger men. But do you ever hear anyone call an insurance company prejudicial or discriminatory? The same goes for life insurance. If you were looking for a policy and you lived in the hood versus an affluent area, chances are your premiums would be a lot higher if you lived in the hood. Anyways, let's continue.
If she said, I won't turn my back to him, I'll sit behind him, I'll sit facing him, she might be still alive. But what are we to do when the lesson over and over and over again is safest bet, don't be near them? Safest bet. And who wants to gamble with their life? Your safest bet is don't be in a situation where they will also be there. Next safest bet, if you see them, get away. It doesn't matter if they notice. It doesn't matter if it's offensive or insulting. If that's your safest bet, who can argue that we shouldn't behave this way? Who would argue that you should risk your life and get stabbed in the neck for no reason, like her or like Austin Metcalf, because you don't want to be insensitive, because you'd hate to be racist? How's that going to make the super predator feel?
That's what I said. I don't care what people are going to label me. You can call me but I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay alive, okay?
Or, unfortunately, how would that make an ordinary black person feel? I care about my life more. And I'm a single man. I can't imagine what it's like for a family. God forbid you're a man with your girlfriend. God forbid you're a man with your wife, with your young children. At that point, you have an obligation to get away. You're going to gamble the life of you, your spouse, and your children because you don't want to be insensitive. You don't want to hurt their feelings.
Another point about being prejudiced. If I were to go home, let's say I was at point A and I want to get to home, point B, but the shortest way would be to go through the hood. It would save me 20 minutes of time. Would I go through that area? No. I would still take the 20-minute detour and go around the area. That's a prejudice that everyone has. It's not just me. No one with half a functioning brain would go through the hood, okay? No normal person, okay, would actually decide to save 20 minutes and go through the hood, walk through the hood. Everyone would walk around, okay? Take the detour. Take the longer route. Okay? So miss me on that, being prejudicial. Everyone is prejudiced, okay? You just don't realize it.
You don't want to be considered a prejudiced person, whatever that even means? Is it worth your life? Me, easy, no. You know, I like being alive. I don't like knives lodged in my throat. So I don't go near black people. And I understand perfectly well. There are a lot of black people that are not violent, and I understand perfectly well there are a lot of black people that are really good people.
Yep.
I'm not going to roll the dice. What if I'm wrong? I'd rather be alive. I'd rather be alive and too racist than dead and not racist enough. Is that simple enough? Is that simple enough for you?
Okay, so yeah, again, like I said earlier, I understand the message Nick is trying to convey, but he has to tone down the rhetoric because otherwise he's just going to continue being deplatformed. You know, I wouldn't say the word racist, but prejudicial, because that makes a lot more sense. Like he already admitted earlier, just now, that it's not all black people. It's a culture. It's a subsection within black culture that is, making everyone look bad. Anyways, guys, if you enjoy this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.